Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Movies in the Man Cave.
You probably already noticed we're doing things kind of different this week. There were some storms you may or may not have heard about that passed through Fargo and West Fargo, and 24 hours later we are still without power, hence the flashlights and the darkened room, no green screen so you don't get a fancy red curtain this week, but we're this committed to making the show for you that we're going to go through these hard conditions.
This week on Movies in the Man Cave, we decided to take advantage of this opportunity and do our top 5 horror movies.
Alright, well, I'll start off with number 5. And this one probably hasn't held up well over the years, but I saw it when I was a child. And it is Child's Play. When I saw that as a kid, boy, did I lose sleep for days and days and days. Just the thought of a doll coming to life and attacking people and having the knives and having all the scary weapons and
they did a good
job. Freaky. Maybe, like I said, as an adult, maybe it's not as scary, but I remember the kid looking out the window and seeing the doll come up the fire escape and
it's
nightmares.
It's
galore.
Very creepy.
Oh, it was horrible. So that's my number 5. That's
my number 5 is an older movie. It is The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price. It's super old, but I watch it every year around Halloween, and it's one of those where it's probably also hasn't held up very well. It's not so spooky anymore, but it's just a really
I'm sure that was scary 40 years ago.
I'm sure it was. Even 70 years ago when it came out, I'm sure. But it's just one of those movies that's kind of cheesy, even though it wasn't meant to be cheesy, I don't think. And it's got Vincent Price in it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I like it. My number 4 is Nightmare on Elm Street. Mostly the first one, but I guess you can count the series in that if you want. I love the Freddy Krueger character. And he's one of the greatest villains of all time. If you don't know the story, he's a pedophile who gets murdered by the townspeople, burned alive for what he's done.
Yep.
So then he comes back years later to steal their children in their dreams. Another one of those movies that just kept me up at night.
It spooks you forever.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. I'm not going to go to sleep when I hear that.
No, and they had the perfect guy to play him, too.
Oh, and he went through all the movies, for the first 8 movies that they did, that he was able to be in there and do that character. And yeah, you're right, it was perfect.
We're just going to keep talking about that because samesies, my number 4 was A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Ah, very good.
For the first time ever, I think we have the same movie at the same spot. It was just super creepy. They didn't take it too seriously, which I loved. They had just stupid jokes in there, and just everything was just.
It got jokier as they went on. The first one was more scary.
The first one was really spooky.
And by the time you got to Freddy's Dead, it was a bunch of.
Any movie that gets to have the Dream Warriors as a theme song, that's pretty sweet. We're not going to sing again on the internet, but
I believe the first one was Johnny Depp's first role.
It was Johnny Depp's first role, at least his first major role, but I believe it was his first role. Great, so that's also my number 4.
Okay. My number 3, you can't have a horror movie list without a zombie movie, so I put 28 Days Later as my number 3. Cillian Murphy, I always forget. It was one of his first roles.
Yeah.
And one of the best things about this zombie movies was it got rid of the slow, lumbering zombies that I could walk away from them. These were the sprinting, coming at you full throttle zombies that you didn't know what to do with. The whole movie is good. The ending scene at that military compound, fantastic. It's about a 10-minute straight scene that's just all action-packed, and it's got action, it's got horror. It was a great ending scene.
Yeah. I saw that one in the theaters, and it's awesome.
Yeah, very good. Very, very good.
My number 3 actually contains those slow, lumbering zombies. It was the original Dawn of the Dead from the 70s, and it was just... For me, it was one of the first zombie movies that I watched, and it just straight up made me terrified of the zombies because of they would just pop out of nowhere. And usually I'm not a fan of the boo scary gotcha stuff, but in that one, they turn the corner, bam, a zombie's there, it takes a bite out of your neck. It's just well done, and I think it has just enough of that cheeseball factor to it with the blue and the green zombies, where it's just clearly really bad makeup, but it's just fun to watch still.
And then they remade it
Yeah, and then
7 years ago, which also turned out pretty good.
It was pretty decent, but they upgraded it to those fast zombies and stuff, and I didn't like that because I liked the original having the slow, dumb zombies, and yeah.
Okay. I cheated for my number 2.
Uh-oh.
I have a 2A and a 2B because they're the same premise. I have Shaun of the Dead and Zombieland. They will be classified as a comedy horror. Yeah. Both zombie movies, and both have scary moments, but more on the comedy side.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead definitely spooks you.
Yeah, that's a little bit scarier than Zombieland, but hilarious films, both of them. When Shaun of the Dead, the first time I saw that, it's one of the first movies with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost together. Oh, there's such good comedy in that, and it just spoofs on the genre so much, but it works perfectly. Yeah. It's just a great film between those two guys. And then Zombieland, which just came out like 2 years ago.
Got Bill Murray.
Bill Murray makes the greatest cameo in the history of cameos.
Probably
it can't be any better than that. Woody Harrelson plays Tennessee in that movie.
What did he do before that? I know he had
all his
major roles,
the
but
80s. I mean, White Men Can't Jump.
But like up until
recently,
he hadn't done much, and that I think for me was kind of a nice resurgence.
One of his best roles that he's ever played.
Yeah.
So
I'm not saying Woody Harrelson didn't do anything, by the way. So
So they're funny movies, but they're horror movies. If you haven't seen them, please go see those movies.
Absolutely. My number 2 is the first original Halloween. I saw some clips from the newest Halloween, and it didn't look like my cup of tea, but the original Halloween is awesome. Again, I'm a fan of the campy, old, cheesy kind of. This one, from what I understand, it was kind of like the first, slasher flick like that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you had Psycho and things like that, but Halloween, it had Jamie Lee Curtis in there, and it just had Michael Myers in the white mask, the creepy white mask.
Very good villain.
It's just awesome, and of course, it's in the 70s, a horror movie. It had its gratuitous nudity and all that things, but I mean,
most of the movies in this category are going to. You get a horror movie, it's going to come with that.
But just the characters in the original Halloween were awesome, and again, they stemmed a pretty good series from that, and most of which I really liked. So,
cool.
Good series.
My number 1. This is one of the few I actually saw in the theaters. I don't see many horror movies in the theaters. Scared the living daylights out of me was The Ring. Oh. And I don't really scare too easily at this point, but that movie, when I was watching that film that they watch on the VHS tape, it's just so bizarre, and it's at that level where something demented had to be behind it, and it just gives you the willies watching that movie. That film is scarier than the actual bad guy in that film. Yeah. It's just watching that film is what really gets you, and they show it a couple of times.
Yeah, and then she crawls out of the TV finally. And it's just,
it is super scary, and not a lot of those jump at you, type of scares.
They kind of they revolutionized that stop motion creepy, and
that made it look so weird.
Climbing on the walls and
it was a remake of a Japanese called Ringu. Yeah, I never saw that one, so I can't vouch one way or the other for it. But the American version, very good, very scary.
Very
have yet to convince my wife to watch it. So
it's creepy. My number 1 is the original Amityville Horror. I saw the new Amityville Horror, also very good.
Is that the one with Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan Reynolds in there. Very serious role for him in that one, and I liked that one a lot. But the original still it's just awesome. The graphics are pretty bad in there. They have eventually you see the beast in this possessed house, and it's just really corny. It's like a purple pig or something like that. But just everything in there just also gives you the heebie-jeebies about it. It's just about a haunted house that this family lives in. It's just gives you the willies, and I don't know, but I love it. I watch it every year.
I've only seen the newer one with Ryan Reynolds. I thought there were a couple more remakes of that.
There was Amityville and Amityville 2 and Amityville 3
okay.
But I believe the first one is the only one that was based off the true story.
Okay.
So there you have it.
We didn't have a lot of overlap this time. Just the Nightmare
on Elm Street.
All right, that's our list. Make sure, again, in the comments, you put down your list of top 5 horror movies. We want to know what you think we did wrong. We had a quote last week. What was the quote last week, Jay?
Last week's quote was, Jack Nicholson now or 1974?
We did get a winner this week. Nicole Mergens got the answer right. Congratulations, Nicole. Let's take a look at the clip to find out what it was.
Meg Ryan or Jack Nicholson?
Jack Nicholson now or 1974?
That was based on our theme last week of Adam Sandler movies. So the answer is Billy Madison, if you didn't get that right. That was my number 1 last week as far as top 5 Adam Sandler, and yours was number 2 or 3, I think. So
yeah, around there.
Maybe 4.
It was in the top 5, at least.
Yeah, it was in the top 5. Good movie, good quote. We have another quote for you this week. Jared, would you like to share the quote?
I will. Of course, it's theme-based again. This week's quote is, "You haven't anything to worry about. He hasn't spoken a word in 15 years."
Okay. We've been very lucky. We've had a winner every week. We don't want to make an exception this week. So if you know the answer, get in the comments, get your name on our show next week, and we'll go from there. Get you a new quote next time.
That's right. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Do it.
We have one big movie coming out this week in the theaters, and that is a sequel, threequel, fourquel.
Prequel?
Well, prequel, of course. X-Men First Class comes into theaters this week. What are your thoughts?
I'm kind of meh about it. It started out as it was supposed to be a Magneto, like just straight up Magneto prequel for himself, and they transformed into this. The still shots I've been seeing, they kind of look lame. I did see one preview that made me go, ooh, it looks good. But so I'll probably pass on it. But how about you?
Tough to say. X-Men the original was really good. X-Men 2 was fantastic. X-Men 3 was something of a letdown.
Yeah.
Wolverine movie was definitely a letdown.
Yeah.
So it's kind of on a downward spiral.
Yeah,
I'm hoping they bounce it back up.
Hopefully they can kickstart.
I like that they have Beast in this movie. He's one of my favorite characters, so hopefully they did him well.
January Jones, who's from South Dakota, is in this movie, so kind of a local celebrity.
Well, that's a reason to go see it right there. Support her. Don't know if I'll see it in the theaters, but definitely something I'll see at some point.
That's right.
Gotta like the comic books.
Yeah, I love the comic books.
All right, that is it for this week. Hopefully next week we get some lights, we get some power. If we don't have power by next week, I think we're in a world of hurt. So leave your comments below, and anything else that you want to let us know, feel free. And I guess we'll see you next week.